Hello everybody, this is Greg29407 back with another episode of Astroneer. Today we're doing a top 10 tips for getting a successful start in an Astroneer game. We've got some really great tips for you. Here we are on a brand new map. I just started this one. We have our shelter here, we have our little landing pad here with our mission log, and this is a vast wasteland of Silva. We don't know where anything's at. And what I've done is tip number one. I've come over here and I've gotten just enough compound to create 4 sets of tethers. Now each set of tether gives you 11 individual tethers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the R button. And I'm going to click on my compass. You can see that we have our north is that way, and we have our east and south and our west. And what we see is go due south, we got big purple over there. So what I'm going to do is what I did was I went ahead and laid out 11 tethers going due south all the way down. And what I want to do is I just want to lay tethers and look around and see what's going on. What do I have in terms of resources? I see some resin over here. I see a bunch of look at some debris over here. There's some more compound in this direction. I've got all 11 tethers. Oh, here's a hole. No, it's just a vacant hole. There's no cavern or anything under there. That's a false alarm. And we go at 11 tethers. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's go and zoom out a little bit. From my base, I'm going to go all the way north. I'm going to go all the way west. I'm going to go all the way east. And what I'm looking for is, what do I have around me? What natural resources do I have? And right over here is a piece of research that I can do for bytes. Here's a cavern that goes down quite a bit. So I want to get the basic idea of what I have around me. I have a lot of clay over here. These set of tethers that go to the east goes up that little hill over there, and right next to the hill is a cavern. Going due north, this way I have a bunch of resin. There's a cavern over here, and it stops right before we get to those trees. And then if we look at going west, it goes all the way into those woods over there. And there's a decent amount of debris as well. So we got some clay, we got some resin, we got some compound, and we got some debris. So we got lots of different things. We got it zoomed out as much as we can. So what we want to do with this is just kind of get a lay of the land. And we're in a pretty inhospitable place right now. We want to kind of get control of our close-in environment so we know what we have around us and what we can do and start laying out our plans for our base. When you're first getting started in the game, they're going to give you the small printer right over here. So you're going to have this right available from the very start. What I recommend is you immediately build the medium printer, and you're also going to build the medium platform A that you can put it on top of. Then what you're going to do immediately, and this is going to be really, really important, is you're going to build the research chamber for doing all of your research and your smelter. And both of those I generally put on top of the large platform B, which you can build using the medium printer. Each one of these large platform Bs can only cost like 3 resin each. The research chamber is incredibly important because you're going to be researching the heck out of everything you can find in this game. Everything in the game requires research bytes to be able to research so that you can actually build them and create them and use them in the game. And the best way of doing that is start researching everything. You're going to find those giant pods everywhere. You want to get this done right away. Your smelter is really important because you're going to be finding all these natural resources. The ammonium, the laterite. In this case, you're going to find the sparolite, which turns into zinc. The laterite turns into aluminum. All those things. You want to make those natural resources as quickly as possible so you'll have those available to you. So these 2 items you can't live without. I recommend putting these 2 on every planet you land on, in fact. Tip number 3, don't over-harvest your resources. You're going to have a lot of these things where you have a lot of resin and compound in this case, a lot of different resources you're going to find. When you go in the caverns, you're going to find quartz and laterite and all sorts of things. Don't go crazy with it and start mining everything you can and filling up your backpack and just going crazy with it, because all those natural resources are incredibly important, but you need a place to store them. And it's really, really important that you not just have a bunch of natural resources laying around on the ground. This can be really dangerous. The game has always had a bug with it. It's less of a bug now, but it still does exist. It used to be that you would take these resources and kind of throw them on the ground here, and then you walk away for a while, and then suddenly they just kind of sink into the ground. It's very simple for them to sink and then disappear forever. What we used to do in the old days, before there was a lot of storage facilities to hold things in, we would just dig a big hole in the ground as our loot cave. And we'd throw all this stuff into the cave. And then you save the game and come back later, and half the stuff's gone. It just disappeared into the game, and it's never coming back. So what we always want to do now is you always want to have all these different storage facilities like this. The medium storage is great to have. You can put all your stuff on there. It's less likely to sink into the ground when it's attached to something like this. In fact, you're pretty safe that way. And at the very least, I'll throw some of the stuff onto this the landing pad here because it's a little bit more safe. It's not going to sink into the ground. It's going to be stuck here. So don't over harvest. Just harvest the stuff you need. If you need 6 resin, go harvest 6 resin and come back and do something with it. If you need 3 carbon for something, then go ahead and take these organics, make them into carbon, and store them someplace. But don't go crazy with over harvesting. Tip number 4, go ahead and build the soil centrifuge as soon as you can as well. This is a really helpful item. I do this right after I do the research chamber and the smelting furnace. This is great. In fact, once you get this built, you're going to want to go ahead and put in on your backpack these soil canisters. I always have 2 of them on my my backpack at all times. I also have a couple extras laying over here. One of these soil containers will fill up half of the centrifuge, and just one of those soil containers will give you 4 resin or 4 compounds. And if you fill up the entire thing with 2 of these, then you get 8 resins and 8 compounds. Not only that, you can also use this for organics, clay, quartz, only 4 quartz out of it for the total thing, 2 graphites, 1 ammonium. So these are incredibly useful. What I do is once I have this built, and I'm always digging holes in the ground and mining through the caverns and stuff, I'll bring my soil up here and keep this thing, and I will use the soil centrifuge for creating all my resin and compound that I need when I'm at my base. Now, if I'm out in the wild wandering around and I need some more tethers or something, I'll go to and mine some compound really quick and make some. But if I'm at my base, I'm going to use the soil centrifuge. I've got all that dirt anyway. I might as well use it, and that way I don't have to keep running around trying to find more sources of compound and resin to make. So it's very handy to have, and it's free, so might as well use it. Tip number 5. The question I get asked the most often is, how do I find copper on the main planet? Copper is a secondary resource that's on Silva. It's a primary resource on Calidor, but here on Silva, it's incredibly hard to find. What you want to do is always going to be above ground, and you always want to look on the side of these hills and foothills and mountains. A lot of times it's among the trees and things. Here's a single piece. There may be some more buried underneath here. This is what copper looks like. It's very hard to find on Silva. It's kind of a limited resource, but you're always going to find it on the hillsides and in the mountains. You can run around looking for this stuff like crazy. It's hard to find. It's a pain in the neck. I think it's a little more complicated to find than it should be. I'm not sure why they make it so difficult, but it is. Now, when you're on Calidor, copper is the primary resource. So you're going to find it underground on Calidor. And Calidor is always going to be in the caverns, and you're going to find large rooms full of it. So you're going to be wandering around, and you find a cavern, and there's a giant thing, and they're all glowing green in the dark, and you can see them, and there's plenty of it. But that's great when you're on Calidor. When you're starting off in the game and you're on Silva, it's hard to find. This stuff is kind of precious, so be careful with it early on. You don't want to waste your copper on too many things until you get a better source of the metal later on when you get to Calidor. Tip number 6, do your missions. This game is going to give you a lot of missions, especially early on. It gives you this planetfall mission. First thing you do, survive the landing on Silva, and you're going to get an oxygenator, which you need for your shelter, and also the small printer. That's what's going to get you started. Every time you do one of these missions, you're going to get something really worthwhile. In this case, I got some tethers, and I got some more bytes. A lot of these give you research bytes, which are really important because you're spending a lot of time early on trying to get as many research bytes as possible so that then you can develop and create more items in the game. And a lot of your game is going to be taken up with the little research machine running and running and running and running and running and giving you bytes. So these things are a great way of getting these things. In this case, this is a very simple one. Fill a small canister with soil, 500 bytes. So that helps out a lot. Some of these are going to give you, this gives you a medium storage. It also gives you medium platform A and the schematic for an oxygenator. So a lot of times the schematic are going to help you out because that's something you don't need to research. It's going to give you the research for free, which is really great. Some of the ones that they're going to give you are incredibly powerful. So for instance, let's see if we can go up here. And there, as you can see, there's a lot of missions in here. So this one, I just did this one. I got an RTG. The RTG, in case you don't know, is the perpetual motion machine in this game that gives you unlimited energy for no cost whatsoever. So it gives you 4 units of energy per second, which isn't a huge amount, but it's constant and it never runs out, so it's fantastic. Now you can make these in the game, but they're pretty expensive. They tell you you won't be able to make those until later on in the game, but they're really, really useful. However, there are other missions in this game that will give you something called the QT RTG. The QT RTG is like a mini version of the RTG. It only produces 1 unit of energy per second, but you cannot make this in the game. You can only get them as rewards. I think you can find them in some places too, but I've never found one. But you get them as rewards. The great thing about the QT RTG is you can get like 13 of these things. They're free because they just give them to you. And you can put them in any of your bases on your other planets. They only take up 1 slot in your backpack. You could actually put one in your backpack and get rid of the little extra small battery and have an unlimited source of power for your backpack. Actually, I should go ahead and do that myself. I don't know, I haven't done that. So that's just a side benefit of doing these missions. There are a lot of great things in these missions. Look at this one, gave me 10,000 research bytes. So there are a lot of great things to get. Some things you can't get anywhere else. Other things are just a great boon to get you farther in the game. So do your missions. Plus, they're fun. And they give you something else to do right when you get a little tired of exploring and digging around in the caves for a while. You can run around and do something different with a mission. For an unexplored planet, you're going to find an awful lot of junk and trash and debris all over the place. A lot of this stuff everywhere. Debris is very useful. What you do is you can put those into their different sizes of shredders. We have a medium shredder, a large shredder, and then an extra large shredder. When you shred debris, it turns into scrap, and you can keep a lot of scrap in here. And what you do with scrap is you can put the scrap onto the trade platform and send it off into space, and it will give you back items. So, for instance, 1 scrap equals 2 compounds, equals 2 resins, 2 organics, 2 clay, 2 quartz, 2 graphites. Then all of a sudden, it also gives us items that are only located on certain planets. It gives us 2 spherolite, which is zinc. It gives us 1 ammonium. Gives us 1 laterite, which is aluminum. Gives us 1 malachite, which is copper. Is that copper? I think it's copper. Malachite is copper. So that's really useful. It gives us 2 wolframites, which is tungsten. 3 scraps gives us 2 hematite, which is iron. 2 scraps gives us 1 titanite. And 4 scraps gives us 1 lithium. So we can use this stuff for really, really hard to get items. My tip is this. I don't recommend doing anything with the debris or scrap until later on in the game. Early on in the game, you're going to be mainly trying to get resin and compound and finding about what's going on in your game, digging around in the caverns looking for the natural resources. If you need the basic stuff, you can find them, or you can go ahead and use your soil centrifuge to create them, which are great. I recommend putting the shredders off until later in the game because human nature being what it is, if you need something really fast, you want something now, you're saying, oh, I'm just going to grab a little bit of scrap and make me some resin. Well, that's kind of a waste. That's a waste of a resource that there's a lot of trash around, but it's not unlimited. So you don't want to waste your scrap on stuff like compound or resin or ammonium or things like that. You have other ways of getting those. what you want to do with these is save your scrap for if you need some iron. You need one more iron to make something, and you don't have it, and you don't want to go all the way to get on the spaceship, travel to Glacio, mine some hematite, turn it into iron, come back and use it. Just grab some scrap, send it off, and get your iron right away. That's what you want to use this stuff for. So I recommend putting it off until later. I usually do this very last. You can see I've got a bunch of it sitting here, but I put it off until towards the end of the game when I've gotten everything pretty much set and I've done all my other stuff, and now I can go ahead and use some of this debris to turn to scrap to turn into other items that I need. That one may be a controversial tip. I don't know. It seems to work for me, so I don't because I will waste scrap on stupid stuff early on just because I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to go find stuff. Tip number 8: the chemistry lab and the atmospheric condenser are both really, really important items that you don't need early on in the game, but you will need about mid-game. You only really need one chemistry lab in the entire game. I would generally put that on my main base, wherever I'm at. My main base, I also keep all my natural resources that I've mined. I keep those over here. And I have my chemistry lab here. I also have atmospheric condenser where I keep all my gases. Now, atmospheric condensers, you're going to need more than one. In fact, what you can do is you can get by with as little as 2 of these. Each planet has a different set of gases that you're going to need. There are 6 gases: hydrogen, argon, methane, nitrogen, sulfur, and helium. They're on different planets. You could get by with just 2 atmospheric condensers if you wanted to. One on Atrox and one on Visania. Visania has hydrogen, argon, and nitrogen. And Atrox has nitrogen, but it also has methane, sulfur, and helium. So if you want to really save on some resources, you can just build 2. I have 3 on this particular map. I have one here on Silva. I use that for my nitrogen and hydrogen. I have one on Glacio for my argon, and then I have one on Atrox for all my other gases. So you can get by on those. The chemistry lab is really cool. You just take the atmospheric stuff and you match it with the natural resources to create. But again, you don't need to have these on every single planet. These are very just have the bare minimum for those. Tip number 9. This involves when you're going to your first new planet. We have 3 different sizes of shuttles in the game. We have the small shuttle, the medium shuttle, and the large shuttle. You're going to have access to just the small shuttle when you first start off, when you go to your first planet. There is no storage on this shuttle, so the only things you can take with you to your first planet is going to be whatever you have on your backpack. So be careful with that. I recommend you go ahead and take those. Now, which first planet you want to go to, you can go to anything you want. I would recommend either De Solo, because it is the closest planet, and they have tungsten, and you're going to have a mission that says, go get me some tungsten for some really good prizes. They have tungsten. They also have a couple of missions that once you go there, you'll find these missions, and they'll give you something else to do. Or I would recommend going to Calidor. That planet has copper, but also has tungsten. It's a bigger planet. It's a nicer planet. So either one of those you can do. Or you can just travel to whatever planet you want to if you want. You're not forced to do anything. But I would recommend for first planet either De Solo or Calidor. For the tungsten, bring it back, you get your reward, and you can go from there. 10th and final tip. When you go to a new planet, one of the items you want to take with you in your backpack, for sure, is a beacon. You can make a beacon very easily using just one piece of quartz. I recommend you highly that you take it with you, and here's the reason. When you take your small shuttle and you're going to go to your new planet, what's going to happen is you're going to land on this planet. You're going to probably want to set up some basic stuff. You'll do your small printer. You probably have a couple batteries. You're going to want to put a research chamber right away and a smelter. The basic piece of information. And then you're going to need to go back home to your main planet, to Silva. If you don't put a beacon down on the ground when you go to that first planet, how are you going to find your way back to the little base you've set up? Because here's the problem. When you go on a base, your landing pad will have a little symbol over it, something like one of these, that you can see from space. Your shelter, either the regular shelter or the fuel shelter, will have a little beacon over it that you can see from space. Well, you're not going to have a landing pad or a shelter on your first planet. You won't be able to take it up the first time. The only other thing you're going to have that you can see from space that you're going to leave is a beacon. And I got to tell you from personal experience, there's nothing sadder than sitting in your little small shuttle orbiting your first planet going, now wait a minute, which one of those bubbles was where I landed the first time? Where did I put all my stuff? Oh no, I don't remember. I think it was next to one of those purple things. I don't remember. Where was it? Because there's no marker that I can see from space. Be sure to take that beacon. It'll really save you a lot of heartache later. And that's it. Those are my 10 top tips for getting ahead in the game early on. I hope these help out. This is Greg29407 saying arrivederci, and we will see you next time.